Hey guys, Bat Sonic Abby here. I kind of wanted to do something a little different. I know I usually vlog and talk about my day and stuff, but today I kind of want to tell a story, kind of a life story, kind of not a life story. More so, how I became a Christian and how I came to know Christ. So, like most kids, I was raised in church. I've been in church ever since I was born. And I've been in the same church my entire life. And, yeah, when I was 7, was when I became a Christian. And it was at church camp in July 2005. It was one of the last weeks in July. I went to church camp. And it was the first time I'd ever been away from home and away from family. Like, my sister was there too, but, like, other than that, like, I was away from my parents for, like, a week, so. But, I remember a Wednesday night at church camp, we had a kind of a talent show. Like, each cabin would show, like, the talent or do a little skit or something. And I remember having, like, this weird feeling in my heart that, like, I didn't know what it was. It just felt kind of sad, I guess, is what I would put it. Like, I felt kind of sad. And my counselor was like, "You okay?" And I just lied and said I was homesick. Because, like, I wasn't sure what it was. But I'm pretty sure I wasn't homesick yet. But I lied and said I was homesick. But, the next evening, during church service, they had, an altar call, like, where we could go up and pray, and I remember there were, like, a bunch of kids, a bunch of people up there at the altar, and, they were playing this, music, and I got that feeling in my heart again, and, so I decided to, like, go up there and, pray, and, I accepted Jesus into my heart, and I officially became a Christian. And I remember the preacher's wife, our youth preacher, praying over me, and yeah, it was. I think it was starting to get close to sunset, and yeah, I accepted Christ into my heart then and there, and ever since then, I tried to make sure to, like, pray, like, every night and stuff like that. Like, when as a kid, I thought, hey, you know, as long as I pray every night, I'm good. And then, September of that year, I got baptized. And I remember it was a Sunday after church, the preacher came and talked to me, like, to make sure, I wanted to get baptized, like, to make sure I understood what it was about. I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to get baptized. And so that evening, the church got together at one of the church members' house at the Kentucky Lake, and I got baptized in the Kentucky Lake. You know, that's about as southern as it gets. You know, most people, probably city folk, are like, yeah, I got baptized in the baptismal at my church. Blah blah blah. Some churches, you know, they have a big metal thingy that they put the people in to baptize, but I got baptized the good old-fashioned way in the Kentucky Lake. And, yeah, that you go down there to the water, and the preacher says some words, and then they duck you back, and, yay, new person. And, it was great. It was great. It really was. But, are we back, guys? Okay. Okay, I think the devil's trying to mess with me. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, as I got older, I would pray every night. I would read the Bible sometimes. Like, as I got older, I started reading the Bible. But, I don't think I got super, super serious in my relationship with the Lord till I was older. Like, in 2013, I completely gave my life back over to Christ. Like, being a Christian is more than just reading the Bible. It's more than praying. Like, you have to act like it, and like you have to literally give your life to the Lord. And I decided to do that in 2013, which 2013 was kind of a rough year. I had gotten out of a breakup from an 8-month long relationship from someone that I cared about very, very much. And it was kind of tough. And I remember the preacher preaching a sermon like, God won't bring you to the desert and not get you through it. Like, he won't leave you in the desert. And that really helped me through that breakup. And a couple days later, I ended up meeting a person. His name was David. And he was a very, very nice person. Like, it was a Monday at lunch. And I usually sat with my boyfriend at lunch. But we had broken up, so I couldn't sit with him anymore. And I saw this dude that I'd seen him before. I didn't know who he was, but I'd seen him before. So I decided to take a leap and sit by him. And he asked how I was doing. I'm like, I'm gonna be okay. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but I'll be okay. And we talked. Like, we clicked just like that. Like, we weren't strangers. And he was really nice. And so yeah. And decided I don't know, just kind of became friends just like that. And so the next day, we became friends on Facebook, and we talked more. We talked a lot, and they were a great person, a beautiful soul. Like, they were sweet as can be. And I liked this guy. I did. And so I decided to ask him to the upcoming homecoming dance as friends, just as friends, because we literally just met. So yeah, it'd be kind of weird to literally ask someone out that you just met. But I asked him, just as friends, and he agreed, and he said yes. And we dog barking, sorry. A week later, we started dating. Like, I liked him, he liked me, and we just started dating like that. So we were gonna go to the homecoming dance as boyfriend and girlfriend. And we would go to each other's houses and like go to church together and stuff like that. I remember the first time we hung out. One of the first times we hung out, it was at something called Friday Night Light. It's like a church football game thing, football event. And I remember during the football game, we just sat out in the practice field and like we talked about the Lord and stuff. And it was a good time. And one Sunday, he invited me to an event with his church called Judgment House. And essentially, what the Judgment House is a Christian form of a haunted house. Like, they have a real life scenario and like consequences of it. And this one was like bullying, and so like the character was a bully or was being bullied and decided to take measures to their own hands, and they like did a shooting, and it was like really bad and like scary. It wasn't any gore or anything. It was just like storytelling, kind of. But we got to this room that simulated hell, and it was dark except for red lights, and it was really hot in there. And this dude was speaking, like talking crap about you, and because he was supposed to be the devil. And I remember just like freaking out in that room. Almost had like a panic attack. Like my heart rate increased, and like my started breathing like really hard, and like it freaked me out. And like the entire time I had this heavy feeling on my chest again, like the Lord speaking to me. And finally, when we got back into the church sanctuary, I just like broke down and like gave it all to God. Like, because I knew that feeling was God speaking to me, like, hey, wake up call. And I remember while I was praying, like the main person was speaking, like essentially I was praying before everyone else was. But like by the time the dude was done with his speaking, I was done my praying. But I remember while I was praying, the guy I was dating was praying with me, like for me. And then finally, when I was done with my prayer, the dude I was dating, he did his praying and breaking down and giving it to the Lord, and I prayed over him too, and like, we were kind of the Christian power couple. And another time his church went to a concert in Mayfield. It was Honk Nelson, The Afters, Finding Favor, and Building 429. When The Afters was playing a song called Broken Hallelujah, we were both crying, because like the song was like about past pain and stuff. Like some of the lyrics are, even though I don't know what your plan is, I know you make beauty from these ashes. And it was just something I'll always remember. And I really thought, like, for a while, I thought that he was the person for me, because I had asked the Lord for a good Christian guy to be with. And, you know how, God's plan isn't our plan? So it didn't work out that way. I mean, we went to the homecoming dance, we went to the homecoming dance, and we went to the Sadie Hawkins dance together. The relationship was short. It lasted like 2.5 months, but I'm making this sound like this is about a relationship, but it's supposed to be like how my story of being with the Lord. But like, we broke up, but the Lord has a reason for everything, and I think that relationship was the reason to like get my focus back on the Lord. So yeah, we're messing up again. I don't know. But lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. But the Lord used, I'm going to say the Lord used him to get my focus back on him. And I have been firm in my faith for five years. My strength in the Lord has been stronger in these 5 years. Like, even with being with Hayden, the Lord has showed me so many things, and like, you know, he's shown me that he is all I need. The Lord is all I need. Like, he can get me through anything. Just a few weeks ago, I had a really bad mental breakdown. And, I decided, like, I suffer from anxiety and stuff like that. And I finally decided to put it in the Lord's hands. Like, I put everything in the Lord's hands. Because I can't do it on my own. I cannot. I'm only human. And humans only have so much strength. And I can't do it on my own. And when I put it in the Lord's hands, it started getting better. And I knew that God had big plans for me. And just this past weekend, I went to something called a layman's retreat. And I spent the weekend at this retreat at Lake Barkley. And there were 4 worship sermons, one Friday night, one Saturday morning, one Saturday night, and one Sunday morning. And it refreshed me so much. But it made me realize that I don't do enough in my church. I don't do hardly anything in my church. Like, all I do, essentially, is attend church. And, like, there's people in my church who do multiple things. And I decided, I'm going to start stepping up in the church. I'm going to start doing something. And I've decided to start volunteering in the church nursery, and I'm excited. Like, the Lord is going to use me to teach to these young kids. Like, I'm excited. I'm so excited. And we got a pretty good group of kids at our church, you know, they're well behaved, so I'm excited to see what the Lord has planned for me in that cycle of life. And I'm excited to watch these children grow up with the Lord in their heart, and to get to know Jesus as like a friend and as a savior. And yeah. And let me clarify, being a Christian doesn't make me better than anybody else. It doesn't. Being a Christian means that I'm not alone. Even if I'm feeling lonely, I'm not alone, because I've always got God with me. And if God is all I have, God is all I need. So, and I hope you enjoyed my story, and if you don't know Jesus, maybe you could try, just trying out a church sometime, you know? Sometimes your first church isn't the one. Although I was lucky, and like, I've been in the same church my whole life. But sometimes it might take a few tries. You know, I visited nice churches. I've visited churches that made me feel homesick of my church, like make me want to be at my church. And it takes a while. But it doesn't make me better than anybody else. It just means that I don't have to fight my battles alone. So, thanks for watching and subscribing. And I hope somebody might get a blessing out of this. And peace out.